everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bootcast. So joining me today is Joy and Judy, all the way from the United States. Ladies, thanks for coming on the show.
Wow, we're really happy to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking us.
No problem at all. So can you tell me a bit about yourself? So who you are, where you're from, what you're doing here?
Well, I'm Judy Voruz, and I'm from Oregon. So is Joy. And we are life coaches. Well, actually, better said would be we're transformational coaches. And about 5 or 6 months ago, we decided that we wanted to become digital nomads. And so we sort of threw caution to the wind and decided to travel around Europe and the UK.
Do you want to say a little bit about your background?
Oh yes, my background is I worked in mental health and addictions for about 40 years, and I have specialized in working with family members who have an addicted loved one. And now we've sort of expanded our coaching services to include, people that have relationship issues, people who have anxiety or depression, people who just want to, live their dreams.
Yeah. And I'm Joy, Elohim Voruz, and I've worked in health and wellness and customer service arenas for many years, and now do the coaching along with Judy, and we do it virtually with people all around the world. We have clients in the States, we have clients in Japan, we have clients here in Europe, just all over. Yeah.
So you guys are both Voruz?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for those who can't see, I just want to point out that we are in our 60s and 70s.
Right.
So as a way to say that it is never too late to pursue
To follow your
dreams.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's the
Never too late.
first tip of the day.
Yeah.
I think we'll title this one, It's Never Too Late.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's true.
Yeah,
It's
and
true.
we're evidence of that. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
Nice. So which part of the United States then are you coming from?
We're from the West Coast in Oregon. We're about 15 miles north of the California border.
Okay.
And we live in a beautiful area. It's called the Rogue Valley. And so we came from a beautiful area, and we've been traveling for almost the last 5 months now, all around Europe and the UK, and more to come.
Yeah.
Nice.
And here we are in this beautiful co-working space called New Junction. And Eugene has been a very gracious host here for us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
That's great. So all the way from the United States. Was this your first time in Europe on this journey, or were you in Europe?
No,
in
we've
the
been
past?
in Europe. I've been in Europe several other times, and I think you have too.
Yeah, a few times.
But I've always had a dream of wanting to do some extended traveling.
Okay.
And basically just never did it, never thought I could. There were always fears and concerns about money and responsibility and all of those things. And so just never took the leap. And, we just decided we're not getting any younger and we want to do this. And so we did.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd say that what we had to come to the place where we really saw through the things that we felt were obstacles, which for me was really kind of all about the money, and being the age, being 63 and feeling like, I have to stay at my job and put money away, and maybe when I'm in my 70s we could do it, and but kind of knowing that really, would that day ever really come? Would there ever be an quote unquote enough? And so then for me, what I saw, I started one day, I was thinking about like the worst case scenario, like if I left my job and if we went and did this and became digital nomads, and if it didn't work out, the worst case scenario I came up with was that I would have to do bankruptcy. We would have to do bankruptcy, and that's happened to me once before, so I had a fear of it. And then when I kind of said, well, I got through that, and it really, wasn't a problem, and now I have, excellent everything,
credit.
All my credit and everything is excellent now, and it was like, well, if that really is the worst case scenario, go for it.
Brilliant.
I wouldn't want it to happen, but if it did,
you've been through it, so
it'd be okay. And that was when I really kind of saw through that, like, oh my gosh, but what if? Then it was like, well, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Great. So life, is it more so in professional work that you do with individuals in like work?
Yeah.
Or is it more just life as an overarching?
No, I would say.
What is a life coach?
Yeah, I mean, we work with individuals. We also do webinars and classes, but it's mostly aimed at people that are experiencing some kind of pain about some aspect of their life. It could be they want to have a different life. They feel stuck in a job and they're unhappy. It could be something like that. But it also could be people who feel, have a lot of anxiety about their lives, and they want to see that. They want to have a different experience. They don't want to keep living in that anxiety.
Yes.
So our coaching addresses those issues for people. And, our approach is really based on, it's in some ways challenging to explain it, but it's really based on the notion that we actually think that outside circumstances are creating our experience. I mean, that's the way we've all been taught. And the truth is that there isn't an outside circumstance or event that can transmit a feeling to you. What you're actually experiencing is your thinking about that circumstance or event
or person.
Yeah. And that, even though that sounds really simple, and it is, it's life-changing once you really see that.
So everything is from within, and then it doesn't matter if it's raining outside, or always take the weather with you.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's one of the examples that we use a lot, that one day it might be raining and you think like, oh my God, the rain is making me feel depressed, and and then another day it might be raining and you're having a great day. And it doesn't really matter what's happening outside. So the weather or the rain can't be making you feel any way. It's your thought about it in the moment that's creating your experience of it.
The other area where this understanding really is so helpful is in the area of relationship. Because when we're in relationship, we often think that other person is responsible for the way we feel, right? And so we get into blaming them and making them the source of our feelings. And once you see that person cannot, same thing, cannot transmit a feeling to you, that whatever feeling you're experiencing is happening, just like you said, inside of us, right? And that totally changes your relationship, because you just don't get into the blame game anymore, right? And you start to see, all these feelings that I'm having about this person that I'm with are happening inside of me.
It doesn't mean that you might not talk with them about something that is upsetting to you or, is a problem, but to realize that it's not being created by them. It's being created within, from thought in the moment and the feelings that brings up. And
so how does somebody change that way of thinking then? If they're blaming somebody else?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's an excellent question, because the way that so what we say to people that we work with is, don't believe anything we say. you need to actually experiment with this yourself. So, for instance, when the next time you're with your husband or your girlfriend or whatever, and you notice a feeling coming up, right? And you actually test this out. You go, well, what's really happening right now? Is that person that I'm with transmitting a feeling to me?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you'll see, well, no, that's not possible. Yeah. So then you have to actually turn the focus, right, on yourself and see, oh, yeah, these feelings are coming from within me, right? That breaks the connection between...
the spell.
Yeah, the spell, really, that your feelings are coming from that other person. So it's really an in-the-moment insight or realization that it's actually it's all happening inside. Yeah. It's not happening from something outside of you.
And it's having that curiosity to really kind of want to see what's really happening in the moment, not what our society, because everything, since we're, knee-high to a grasshopper, everything in our society has, been telling us that what we're experiencing is coming from outside of us,
And it's just it's an innocent misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It's not like people intentionally taught us that to mess us up.
Yeah.
People haven't seen this until very recently.
They didn't question it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you mentioned you have clients in different parts of the world. Do you see any major differences in people opening up to this way of
that's a great question.
fixing themselves?
Yeah.
Well, I want to stop there for a second, because the one thing that's really different about this is that we don't feel that there's anything that needs to be fixed. Right? And, so much of psychology and self-help is about there's something broken that needs to be fixed, and here's 7 ways to do that.
Right.
And this that we teach, this understanding, says there is nothing broken or wrong about you that needs to be fixed. There's just a misunderstanding of how we work.
And how our experience gets created.
And that actually you are innately well, and and there's nothing that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, you're innately well, and you're innately resilient. In other words, you have all the resources you need inside of yourself to do anything you want to do, right? All the wisdom, all the clarity, all there right inside of you. Yeah.
Do you think that it probably is obvious that a lot of people don't realize this?
No.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize it at all. And of course, that's one of the reasons we wanted to share it. Because, our experience of learning this is that we have so much more emotional freedom. We just don't get tied up as much in all of our reactions, And we have a lot more peace, and a lot more fun.
Brilliant.
Because we've seen the shift in our own lives, we want to share it with others. And we knew that embarking on this adventure of basically kind of being together 24/7 was going to be bringing things up for us to really
test.
Test exactly.
And it has.
It definitely has. But it's it's great, because it might be like we kind of like you're making me feel that way, and it's like, oh, wait a second, actually.
Well, it's more like you're pissing me off.
Why in the hell are you doing that?
And then all of a sudden, it's like you just wake up and you go, oh, that's not really what's happening. I'm just having all these feelings in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that joy is causing those feelings. Well, there's just no way that can happen. Right?
Yeah.
She doesn't have the power to do that.
Right. And then there's the opportunity to have a conversation, to kind of go, oh, here's what I was thinking and feeling, about what's going on. What is it for you? Because we're coming from two total, no two brains kind of are alike, and And so it's like, what's going on for you? Well, here's what's going on for me. And then it really opens up a conversation where we can understand each other more. And
just understand how our minds work, basically.
Yeah.
And my mind works very differently than Joy's.
Yeah.
And from yours, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, I think what I've found is that because there are different cultural beliefs and really cultural mindsets that we're not familiar with, so there's been a lot of need to understand how that person is seeing or understanding what we're saying from their cultural perspective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can honestly say it's still all thought, right? But it's the thought that they have is influenced by the culture that they've grown up in, right?
Yeah. So.
Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
So just on the culture, if there was a type of religious beliefs that would be most aligned to this way of life, would there be any particular religion?
I would say all.
Yeah, I think, well, at the essence, the truth or the wisdom of any religion points to this.
Yeah.
The one I think that's the most obvious for people is Buddhism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you look into the traditions of most religions or the teachings, you will find this understanding there. It isn't a new understanding in the sense that, you know, spiritual teachers down through the ages have seen this. The thing that's different about this is that it's kind of I would say a modern understanding.
Yeah.
And it talks about it from the point of view of how our psychology actually works. In other words, how our experience gets created as human beings. Right.
Okay.
And what I found was working with someone and she was wondering, is this at odds with my religion?
Yeah.
And what she found was that it actually deepened her understanding of her religion. And we've also found that with people who we've worked with who are like seeing other types of counselors, you know, that it has deepened their experience of the work that they're doing with them. And but the religious thing is that it is really not at odds at all with any religion. And I think that it does bring a deeper level of understanding to whatever religion a person is aligned with.
It's totally complementary.
Yeah.
To any religious belief. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So Judy, you spent most of your life as a counselor and therapist. Is this a relatively new thing for you then, with all of your background and experience in counselling and therapy? Or did you have a turning point where you realised that this kind of, you know, there's CBT out there and different types of therapeutic ways to deal with them?
Yes, this was a totally new understanding for me. Well, I should say, I don't know how much I should go into depth about this, but we have been spiritual seekers all of our lives, and so we used to follow a number of what's called non-dual teachers.
Okay.
But because this is an understanding from a psychological perspective, when I heard about it, which was 5 years ago, I thought, oh my God, this is incredible. This is what all the spiritual teachers that I had studied with were trying to say, basically.
Yeah.
But it's being said in a very simple and practical way. And I thought, I've got to learn more about this. And I could see that anybody, it didn't matter who they were, could understand this, right? And so it's like, oh, I really want to start sharing this with my clients, you know? And the other thing is that what happens for people is they get tremendous results from this understanding. I mean, it's like their lives completely change, you know? So,
do you want to give an example
of somebody's
clients?
life? Well, I mean, I can give an example of a woman that I was working with whose son was addicted to heroin. And for a long time, she couldn't basically set the kind of limits with him that she wanted to. She just kept, you know, enabling him, and she was tired of it. She had spent a good portion of the last 10 years doing that. And after working with me, she saw that all of those shoulds that were in her head about what she needed to continue doing for her son were just thought. It was all thought. And so she basically followed a dream, which was she sold her house and moved to Florida and created a whole new life for herself. Just from seeing that her thoughts were the things that were holding her back, not anything else.
And at the same time loving her son and, you know, but not willing to be in that dance anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of good example of a business person or like someone who was maybe in dire straits financially who soared to successes because of this approach?
I don't know if we've had anybody.
I know others have. We are just recently kind of going into the business sector, but there are a lot of people within the Three Principles community that are working with Fortune 500 companies and with businesses, because again, it's like they go in and they see how people have these tunnel visions of here's the only way we can make money, here's how we see how this works. And when they go in and work with teams and work with the CEOs and with the C-suite folks, that there is a huge shifts that happen. There's this one group of people that work and they have on their website, they have all these different things of showing how many millions of more dollars, you know, companies have made and the
within a really short amount of time, like within 6 months.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's been folks who went into the Mayo Clinic in Arizona in the States and worked with the CEO who has now become a huge proponent of this understanding.
Yeah. So you mentioned the 3 pillars. So let's
the three principles.
The 3 principles, sorry.
Yeah.
So what are the 3 principles then?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk?
Yeah.
Okay. So the 3 principles in this understanding are called mind, consciousness, and thought. And mind is our innate intelligence. It's the life force that moves through us.
It's what grows the flowers.
Beats our heart, gets us to breathe. All of that is the innate intelligence of life. Yeah. And it's the core of who we are, actually. And everybody has it, and everybody has it in the same measure. And the other principle is consciousness, which is that we are aware. We are aware beings. We have the ability to be aware of what's going on inside of us, around us. It's just one of the faculties that we have. And then thought. And thought creates our experience moment to moment, creates our feelings. So those are the 3 principles. And it basically defines how our psychological experience or how our experience as human beings gets created. So you have to have all 3 to be a human being, right? But you can't have just one, and they all mysteriously work together. Right?
And they really are one, but we're kind of separating it, you know, calling it 3 different aspects of one thing.
Yeah.
Which isn't the thing.
Yeah. And normally we don't talk about the 3 principles because they can be very abstract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we really like to try to keep it, you know, concrete and practical for people so that they can understand it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been in Europe since April, and the plan is to travel until next April 2020, is
Well, it's starting to look that way.
Yeah. Is that good or bad?
It was
Oh, no, it's good.
It
It's
was
good.
supposed to stop in mid-November.
Yeah.
we have tickets, but I don't think they're going to get used.
No. No, and then so we'd always planned on traveling for like about 7.5 months.
Yeah.
And then as we got into it, it was like, oh my God, let's go here and let's go there. And, you know, we just got very excited about all the possibilities of the places we could travel to. And then we met Eugene, and this bootstrapping guy here from Ireland. And he said, oh, you guys ought to go to Vietnam, you know. And it was so interesting. It was such a serendipitous moment because I've always wanted to go to Vietnam. And as an American... Yeah, I think especially of my age, because I was in my early 20s, late teens when the Vietnam War was on. I feel very called to meet those people and to help in some way. So we were thinking of going there and teaching English for a while.
Why not?
Why not? It's all doable, and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy it, and teaching English there is a perfect way to complement what you're doing and to give back, as you say, to
and I
in
really
some way
do.
to the Vietnamese people.
Yeah, my heart really wants to do that. Wants to give back to them, and also offer this understanding there.
Yeah.
You know, as part of teaching English and you know, talking with people
And we'll keep seeing our clients, you know, we use the Zoom video conferencing, and that's how we stay in contact with our clients and do our sessions from afar.
So you truly can work from wherever you have internet.
Absolutely.
True digital nomads.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's probably the most important thing is to have a strong internet connection, because that's why we decided to work here in the co-working space, because we didn't have a very good connection. Yeah. And it's been wonderful because we've met so many wonderful people like you. And it's been perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Great.
Okay, ladies, so we're just coming up to the end now. If people want to reach out to you or get in touch or maybe to avail of a session with Wise Caring, how can they get in touch? What's the best way?
Well, we have a website, and it's www.wisecaring.com.
Okay.
Of course, all one word. And from there, they can reach out to us via email. There's a way to say, hey, I'd like to have a conversation with you and talk about how we might support someone.
And we also have a Facebook page. It's Wise Caring. And there's a free ebook there that you can download that most of my coaching has been aimed at family members who have an addicted loved one. So that's an ebook actually specifically for them. But I think if you download it, you'll get a sense of, the understanding that we're offering. So.
Judy and Joy, thanks a million for coming on the Bootcast.
Thank you.
Best
Thanks
of
for
luck
inviting
with the
us.
rest of your journey.
Yeah.
And remember, it's never too late.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
That's
okay.
the truth.
Okay.
Cheers.
See you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.